competitiveness requires dialogue involving all stakeholders. That's why we recognize the presence of all of you here today, business membership organizations, development cooperation partners, individual business organizations, and we have invited, as I keep repeating, experts from Mauritius, experts from Kenya, in the hope that we're able to learn something from what they have done. As an overview, the road which we have traveled so far as a nation, Zimbabwe's trade deficit in 2015 was about 3.5 billion, and this reduced in 2016 to about 2.4 billion. And for the 8 months to date, to the end of August, our trade deficit sits at 1.3 billion. And on an easy projection, it appears our trade deficit in 2017 will be lower than the trade deficit in 2016 and 2015. And to me, ladies and gentlemen, it appears we are walking on the right road, and thanks to all of you. The major export products in the period under review include your commodities, your minerals, your gold, your nickel, industrial diamonds, canned sugar, tobacco, and things like black tea. The unfortunate thing in these statistics is that these products are dominated by, our export bill has been dominated by commodities, with value-added products representing a mere 15%. And the reason for the congregation today is to correct and increase that figure. That is our hope. Ladies and gentlemen, from similar discussions at last year's conference, and with support of the OPC, we adopted last year the 100-day Rapid Results Initiative. And my colleague did make reference to this. This initiative identified institutional bottlenecks which militate against the growth of exports. And some of these, and I repeat again, the complex procedures administered by multiple regulatory agencies, high cost of production, limited access to finance, centralization of agencies that support exports. With the support of the Office of the President Cabinet, we are mandated to look at the institutional bottlenecks that militate against exports. We did go through that exercise, ladies and gentlemen, and identified some 22 statutory instruments. With the support of our government, those instruments are in the process of being amended today. And we are hoping that there will be a definite improvement in the ease of doing export business in our nation as a result of that effort. The RRI initiative was split into two thematic groups. There was a thematic group that specialized or focused on looking at export regulations, and the other thematic group focused on building export capacity, in other words, on identifying the issues that militate against the growth of export capacity in individual operations. I'm also happy to report on successes we have achieved in the collaboration with the development cooperation partners. One of the low-hanging fruits in our efforts is, in our efforts to energize exports, is the potential that exists in agro-processing and in horticulture. On the 10th of April 2016, ZimTrade signed an MOU with an organization referred to as POOM. This is a group of retired senior experts from the Netherlands. This cooperation, I'm glad to report, continues to provide technical assistance to existing and potential exporters in agriculture, agro-processing, and in industry. The objective of the program is to enhance productivity and competitiveness through the provision of technical assistance, targeting shop floor management systems, systems upgrade and capacity building initiatives in these SMEs and organizations. These interventions are a direct response to challenges industries facing as they endeavor to restore productivity and efficiencies in their enterprises. Whilst these policy and advocacy initiatives have been put in place to improve the business environment for exporters, it remains incumbent upon all companies to simultaneously build internal capacity for entry into the highly competitive global export market. We're cognizant of that fact. I must repeat and say, the desire to export does not equate to the ability to export. ZimTrade has identified 3 additional challenges that stare in the face of our SMEs as they endeavor to export. And these challenges, the 3 challenges that we believe we should tackle, is the access to affordable trade finance and working capital for our SMEs. Standards, the second one is standards and standardization. And on this point, I must say, again, we have a strong partnership with the Standards Association of Zimbabwe, and I acknowledge the presence of Dr. Gadziko this morning. And to emphasize the point, one of our presenters this morning, Mrs. Odo from Kenya, we hope that she will leave us with experiences on how the Kenyans have done it. And the simple equation is, if we don't benchmark ourselves to international best practice, we are not able to access the international markets. And the final challenge that faces our SMEs, from our observation, is governance. And we are all aware that the Code on Corporate Governance is being turned into a bill, so it will be a requirement, even in those small companies, to observe best practice as regards governance. ZimTrade would like to assure our constituents, the exporters, that we will work to ensure that a solution is found to these challenges. With reference to the issue of affordable finance, ZimTrade and the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe are taking steps to address this challenge. And it is my hope that the presence of our governor this morning is testimony that the central bank is joining ZimTrade to interrogate the issue of affordable finance to the point where, if I may say, facilities being offered by our central bank to exporters will allow you to borrow it at a small 7.5%, and with the benefit of your export incentive, you are technically borrowing at 0, if not minus percent on that finance. That is good news in the pipeline, and we're working very hard to unlock that opportunity for our SMEs. Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, I had the opportunity of having a meeting with the acting president, Honorable E.D. Mnangagwa. They invited us, ZimTrade, to their offices. In my view, the mere invitation from the highest office on the land is testimony of the importance of the challenge and the mandate that you and I have in addressing the challenges that we have in our nation today, and that is energizing Zimbabwe's export growth. We discussed at great length most of the issues I've mentioned here, and more importantly, the meeting was a reaffirmation, and his message to me was to repeat to all of us in this room that it is you and me and not them or other people who hold the key and the solution to the problems that we face today. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, as said by Chris Grosser, a prominent businessman, opportunities don't happen, you create them. This is the reason why we are here today, to create opportunities by identifying and interrogating synergized pillars for export competitiveness. After all is said and done, colleagues, the call is export. Export or expire. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being patient with my few words, and I would like to assume that I'm moving on to the second chapter of my presentation, correct? Mrs. MC, it is my assumption that I now move on to the second part of my presentation. And the second part of my presentation is simply to acknowledge and introduce our guest of honor this morning to this our 6th annual Exporters Conference. And I consider it all the time a rare honor and privilege to introduce this special guest who is our keynote speaker. He hardly needs that introduction though, but perhaps most of you may not read newspapers and you may not be aware that last Saturday our guest of honor had celebrations to mark his achievement, yet another milestone in his life, and I attended that function. And let me repeat by saying that his supervisor, Professor somebody, I can't remember his name, was there present to underscore the fact that indeed Dr. Michael Chakanaka Bima excelled in his presentations to achieve the doctorate. Dr. Michael Chakanaka Bima is clearly a bookworm, as confirmed by his supervisor, and also confirmed by his many qualifications, which include a bachelor's degree in administration and a master's in business administration from the University of Zimbabwe, and of course, more recently, his PhD in strategic human resources from the Zimbabwean Open University. In a career spanning more than 2 decades in industry, Honorable Bima was a member and chairman of various corporate boards, which include Nichols Diamond, Africa Resources Limited, SMM Holdings, to name but a few. He also sat on various parastatal boards, and I know that he chaired the Air Zimbabwe board, and he sat on the NASA and other boards. And he's a former president of the Employers Confederation of Zimbabwe and former president of the Institute of Personnel Management. After his performance in industry, Mike joined politics and became a member of parliament for Chikomba West in 2008. He was appointed and served his ministerial apprenticeship as Deputy Minister of Industry and Commerce in 2008 to 2013. The assumption here is that he obviously acquitted himself very well, leading to his elevation to being a substantive Minister of Industry and Commerce in 2013, a position which he holds today, and all of us wish he holds to time infinitum because of his performance and the support. It is therefore my singular honor, ladies and gentlemen, and on behalf of ZimTrade Board, management and my staff, and yourselves, I would like to invite Honorable Mike Bima to come and present his few words and officially open the conference.
For these and other stories, visit our website www.263chat.com. Follow us on Twitter @263chat and like our Facebook page 263chat.